I was thinking about how you guys love to talk. I mean, probably like a part of your relationship.
We've talked about
like,
how we love to talk. That's how
yeah,
much
like
we love to
a part
talk.
of a part of your relationship definitely centers around conversation that you
Yeah.
have with one another that's stimulating. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's like a big part of hers and mine where it's like, I've been in relationships before where like I feel like I run out of things to talk about, and that's sad. It's like, well, like with the person that you are infatuated with or whatever that you're in a relationship with and you have things that like you can talk about, but they end somewhere,
Right. They only go so far.
And like with her and myself, and I think with you two as well, it's like one of those things where it's like stimulating. Like that's like getting off half the time is like just what you want to talk about.
Connecting.
Anything and everything, right?
Yep.
It's like that's like super stimulating, so
All right, guys, we are back for another episode of Indecent Disclosure. Welcome to part 2 of our conversation, not really an interview at all, with Lele and Jesse. Now, beware that we get a little rowdy in this episode or the second half of the episode because, yes, I'm not going to lie, there was tequila and a little bit of methamphetamines involved. JK on the meth part, we don't do that shit. But we are here again. We are so stoked on these two people. I can't seem to ever be stoked enough on our guests. Like that's kind of just who I am. I'm like a stoked ass bitch, But without further ado or any more stokedness, I'm gonna lead in to the second part of this lovely, amazing love story of Lele and Jesse.
We realized, yes, we like each other. Like we had a little few moments it honestly felt really nice. It felt like we'd been friends forever. And that was like the most important thing for me was like, do I feel safe? Do I feel comfortable? Like I'm at this point in my life where like I know what I want and I know what I don't want. And like I'd only known him really for like a week, although I knew his character through like our mutual friends for like the past 5 years. And it was, I'd never felt that way before. I was like, oh my gosh, it was definitely a feeling that, when people say like, oh, once you know, I never believed that shit. I was like, this isn't Disney. This isn't like these movies that we're brought up on. That's like fairy tale love. But I honestly, it felt that way. It felt like,
oh, we
this
get
is
it.
like real.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you guys are, Holly, like you and I, we've been through shitty relationships together. And like now that we're with our like soulmates, it like is super cool. And I'm like staring at you guys like across the way and I'm like, oh.
Actually, on that note too, after I recall that like when I don't remember the exact point in time, but I think that it was like in the little lull period before you moved to the island or like when you were in transition there or something, but that we were
Jesse.
that Jesse was, sorry. I'm like pointing, nobody can see. Where we just were catching up, Lele and I, and she's like, I found my Steven. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And then like another girlfriend of mine had said that in the same week. Like, I mean, I think within the same like 2 days. And then Lelia was like, oh, my other friend like found her Steven. And like, it was very much, it made me feel really good because I was like, yay, like people are feeling.
I like that a lot. And maybe narcissistically or egotistically, because that's like, there's a Karen, there's a Chad, but apparently now I'm being classified as like...
Wait, who's Chad? No, I'm just
Chad?
Yeah, the Chad.
Or a
Monster
Kyle.
Energy.
Yeah, Kyle. Yeah.
Chad's like
Nickelback.
Frat.
Yeah,
Nickelback.
exactly.
Okay, all you need to say is Nickelback.
Okay, yeah, Nickelback.
No, that's cool. That's exciting.
I just remember being like, I fucking knew you guys. Like when I saw the photos of you two in Mexico, or like all of you, I was like, those two.
It was actually really funny because
happened?
We ate the acid. Sorry, going back.
No,
to
no,
that.
yeah.
Then we take a photo like at the bus stop because I'm all about like let's take a picture, whatever moment. And then I sent it to like my dad because I'm like, oh, like we're like just I send photos to
We
my
were all
family
like
all the
really
time.
smiley.
And
in
my
the
dad's
photo,
Yeah.
like, my dad goes, "Who's the dude with the porn stash?" Like talking about Jesse, and I'm like.
And you're like, that's the one I'm gonna hook up with later on acid, Dad. Don't worry about it.
That's the one I'm digging right now, actually.
Oh
We'll see if he can live up to his stash.
Do you call Jesse Papi Chulo?
I don't know. I might start doing that.
I call Steven
Oh my gosh.
Papi Chulo
There's
all
this
the time.
Natalie Pelosi song that she says that. She's like, and that's one of like the songs that bonded us to
The
on
one
that trip.
Papi Chulo. Papi
So,
Chulo.
it's called like Hot Butter. You have to listen to
Ooh.
it. Listen to
That's
it.
good.
Natalie
Take-
Peluso,
take-
Hot Butter.
Take these notes down, folks.
Yeah.
Take these notes
Papi
down.
Chulo, she says it. Yeah.
Hot Butter by Nathy Peluso.
Okay.
Good track.
Yeah, so that was
Wait,
He has a point.
fix your hair to the right there. You'll feel it. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
after-
She left.
Fell out.
like-
People not watching this video will be highly concerned.
Yeah,
There
what
is
was it?
no
actually?
video.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just
No, I know. That's why.
so there's
Well,
this
it's for me. I have to look at this beautiful human, and I know like she would want me to tell her if her fucking hair fell out. Okay. All right, go ahead.
So, we have these we didn't want to make it weird for our friends that we were hanging out with. So we were like trying to keep our new love, like kind of low key.
And
Wait.
is
And-
this in Mexico? Like you guys are
Yeah.
really getting after it, or is this like back on the island and you're trying to keep
No,
it
no,
cool?
no. So this was
So
Mexico.
So you guys
still.
got hot and heavy from the get go.
Wait,
Not really?
well,
no,
it was like a-
we hadn't even kissed yet.
I was
this
there
is
for like 10 days, right?
Okay.
And so like the last
Right.
3 days was when we were like expressing kind of like our like for each
Interest,
other.
yeah.
Yeah, our interest. And then he takes me to the airport because I'm like, all right, it's my time to go. Like, and we go to this beach to watch the sunset, and
Playa
we
Coral,
go for a little swim, right?
Puerto
Okay.
Escondido.
We go for a swim, and
He's so good.
all of a sudden, a freaking turtle comes out of like
Sea turtle.
a sea turtle, like a beautiful, majestic sea turtle. We're
Big
swimming
ol'
in the
guy.
ocean. Right next to us, like we get out of the ocean, I turn around and there's like a sea turtle like following us, and I'm
Aw.
like,
Yeah, it's like it was super special.
There,
It was
you know, I call them
definitely
the
a
monks
symbol-
of the sea.
yeah, they're my
Yeah.
animals. Sea turtles are like my spirit animals. So I'm like, okay, this is another sign because I'm all about signs and
Yeah,
shit. Like,
absolutely.
I'm
You
like,
gotta
if
recognize.
a sea turtle bonded us, like that's it. Like, this is
Yeah.
it. Like
that was your elopement.
that was. That was my
I don't know if you knew, but that monk
Yeah.
that monk of the sea married you right then and there.
Yeah,
You're
so then-
done. You got
then
it.
That was a
I got
magical
to take her on
moment.
her first date or our first date, like for the first time, an hour or so before she flew out at this Italian restaurant. And there's a lot of Italian people that live in Puerto Escondido because
Italian restaurant in Mexico.
yeah, it sounds
I
funny,
would
but
be so down for that.
It was
Like,
well,
cute. It was
yeah,
a
there was a
cute
movie
place.
made back in the 80s called Puerto Escondido that was Italian, and all these Italians saw the movie and then they moved there, ironically, and like so there's like a fairly decent
a
Italian
little
population.
Italy and Mexico.
Yeah, so we ate at Non Solo. Shouts out Non Solo. It was so good. They
Oh,
have
yeah, I
like
had gnocchi.
authentic
ooh,
Italian
those were
food.
good.
So
great
good. Really.
pronunciation of that.
I've practiced.
Gnocchi.
Gnocchi.
And then I dropped her off at the airport, and it was like it was kind of it was sad, but like I was also like so stoked.
So
that I
you-
wasn't really
sorry
like,
to be-
disappointed.
Graphic. Had you boned at this point?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So we
I
were
love
saying
that answer.
she's like 24
no hesitation,
times.
100%.
I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know when I was gonna see him
24
again. I'm
times
like,
in the
I
last
gotta-
Also,
I
3
gotta
days.
do
I
it.
love how he operates too. Like we go out on our first date 3 days before she leaves, and I take her to this Italian
No,
place. and-
while
It
on
was
the
the
way to the
day-
airport.
Oh, the day of.
On
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
to
The
the
same
airport.
turtle- the
so,
same
so
day as the-
totally like leave her hanging, like you just had this great time, and then you just totally gain all this
Oh, wow.
distance. I'm actually honestly interested to hear about how you guys came back together from
Right.
having that much distance in between you, especially at the very early
Have
stages
you ever done long distance
of
before?
a relationship.
Had you ever done long distance or no?
No, I'd never done long distance before. And right at that point, I was going back home to Kauai. Jesse, you were staying in Mexico. You probably weren't sure if you were going back to Alaska
yeah,
to fish
I
or
had
something.
plans to spend Christmas in Mexico City, which that was kind of Mexico City is like feels like home to me. I don't really have like I guess now Kauai is home. That's where I live with Lele, and I'm happy there. But before that, like in my single adult status, like Mexico City was what I called home. And so I was going there to spend Christmas in my buddy's apartment, actually by myself. As sad as that sounds, he had gone to
London.
London, yeah, I think, and was visiting there for Christmas, and so I was just gonna pass my Christmas there with another buddy of mine before going to Argentina, where I was gonna do a road trip with a friend of mine, and before Alex had left, no, she had left, and I sent her a message and said, "Hey, would you like to come to Argentina and do a road trip with me? And maybe we could go to Patagonia afterwards,
Sexy.
shoot my shot, right?"
Sexy.
I didn't have anything to do like after the fishing season that year, and so I was kind of like formulating my plans like on the go, and
Shoot your
Alex,
shot though. Like
you
people,
have to.
please listening, like shoot your fucking shot.
Shoot
That
it.
probably made
Shoot
all the
it.
difference in your guys' relationship,
Oh my
because had
God,
he not
yeah.
tried to like involve you in his, trip, vacation, travels or whatever he was doing, you guys surely could have disconnected and not met for another 5 years or something.
Right.
So
Well, I knew
super
she,
important.
yeah, she valued travel, which I thought was really cool because
Yeah.
we sat there in bed one morning, like after boning.
Oh my gosh.
I hate saying that. I just use it because Holly did. But,
Oh,
I
no,
know.
by the
Actually,
way,
when
we-
I
we-
said it too, I was like, ew.
So
boning.
just to give context to like why we're even in the same place as Holly and Steven is we're doing a road trip through the Southwest, and we just started in Texas. We're going to Utah, just kind of like getting off
The
the
reason
island.
this podcast was
Right.
possible.
Right. That happened. Also, our friend Dylan, which is the reason why I went to Mexico, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, all that. He joined us on the first week of our trip. And Jesse, he was like, Dylan was telling us a story about this girl that he was with or whatever. And
We met
Jesse's
her on,
like,
like Bumble.
Jesse's
and
like,
stuff.
oh, did you pork her? And I'm like,
Oh, that's way worse. Pork.
I was
Ew, no.
I don't ever say that, but like I kind of did it for a shock factor, I guess. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
you
sometimes
got
you
the
just gotta
shock
dish
from
it
me.
out to get the
and it was
reaction.
like bro talk, and I don't ever do bro talk around her because like it's like literally
not
me and
very
her, and
bro-y.
I don't have like all my bros are like back home on
You're
the mainland.
total Chad. Let's be honest. You're
And
total
so,
fucking
yeah, I was
Chad.
like,
I
I was like-
honestly I was like in shock. I could not believe he said that. I was like, what the fuck?
And then like Dylan explains like what porking is. He's like,
Oh,
you know,
because she
like-
didn't get it at first?
No,
Oh,
she's like,
that's
what
even
does that
better.
mean?
That's the best. Yes.
I'm like, what?
So how did he explain it? He wasn't just like, it's fucking.
Well, no, it's like, well, we have pork and we're like stuffing the pork. Like, or what did he say? Like,
Well, like when you have like the filament and you put it inside the like.
and then we're like
pork.
hiking,
He's
eating
talking about
hiking
stuffing a
food. So like
sausage.
we got
Yeah.
dry salami as like one of our hiking snacks, and then they're like, "Oh, you see, like
Perfect.
this is like what
Perfect.
porking
Yeah.
is," and I'm like,
innuendo.
Okay, I gotta
Visual
be real
aid.
though. I never really knew the connotation behind why people would say porking. I just was
I
like,
think most people just imagine their own thing. I don't think there's
I
necessarily
actually-
one.
Yeah.
sorry.
one
Are you
the
gonna want to
thing-
cut that out?
the thing I imagined was that in my mind, I know this isn't where it came from, but I always just think of the movie Porky's because it's like so vulgar that every time someone says porking, I'm like, oh yeah, Porky. They're probably doing it like real gnarly style.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where it came from.
don't
but-
judge
Yeah, I don't
Jesse
know if
off of
that's,
that.
like, the
He's
actual,
not.
Um,
He's not. Like
no,
that.
me and Holly especially can say and do literally anything, and even if we don't get it at first, we're doing it to get a rise out of them or a reaction.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
that
like
was like half the thing
everything
for
we
me.
say and do, no matter how just ridiculous or off the wall, it's always for some good fun or some
Shock factor.
some bit of
Yeah.
a laugh. You got to have fun in your relationship.
So he
Keep things new, surprise them.
so he shot his shot. Is that how you say it? Or yeah.
Yeah, shooters got to shoot.
Shooter's got to shoot, and then of course the adventure-seeking, like thrill enthusiast
Yeah,
in
like
me was
spur of
like,
the moment
yes,
stuff,
I
like-
will go to Patagonia and explore. Like
'Cause
that was
that's
one
your
of my
white boy. That's your hot boy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. My wife. I was stoked, and I have family in Chile. My dad was born and raised in Chile, and I was excited to like visit family, visit the
One time,
Patagonia,
shouts out Chile.
visit Patagonia and Argentina. I just love traveling.
Dude, Chile is so sick. Like that's like the Mexico is cool, but like Chile is like some like you think about North America and like how developed it is like a continent without Mexico being included, you know, like United States and Canada.
Sure.
You go down to Chile and it's like it was like the highway system and everything was like so much nicer than like half the places I've seen in the United States.
Interesting.
So crazy.
I've never heard much
That's
about
also
Chile.
They have a lot
Agreed.
of
That
like
that's
American
Oh, and they're, like,
influence
super
in
educated.
their like government system in their culture.
Interesting.
Which is
Yeah.
like a good thing in ways, and I
If it
guess
works
that-
out well, because
Right.
we all know America's
So-
tried to influence other governments
Right.
and we
Right.
fucked them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a more sophisticated, I guess, country. Maybe you could say. Like
So, because
So-
you still have a lot of family there.
I have a lot of my dad's side of the family there. Yeah, like cousins
Cool.
and aunts and uncles.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I flew to Argentina, met up with him. We went to Iguazu Falls. That place was beautiful. It's like we
Oh
were on the
my gosh.
Argentinian side and you face the Brazilian side.
Wow.
It's a amazing like waterfall, not state park, national park. not
Parque
states.
Nacional.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Parque
it's like a state. It's a national park.
And that trip, it was a month long. You know, we got to really know each other really.
Which
quickly.
really,
And
that's
how-
wild too, because that could make or break you.
That's the
Absolutely.
thing.
hard.
You guys will know right away if you can't do well in close quarters because when you're traveling like that, like you're flying by the seat of your pants essentially, where like everything you have is on your back, you know, and like
And usually things are thrown at you. That,
yeah,
like,
you have to be able to
be
adapt.
very calm.
Plans change.
Yeah.
You lose something or can't get a hold of something or something happens and like yeah, you got to be very adaptable and easygoing or like
Did you guys
You'll
feel
find out
like
very soon.
because you did that, it was like an accelerated course in being in a relationship with each other? Like, did things get thrown in there that you had any tough moments, or you had to really like overcome something together, or like kind of navigate each other's personalities? Like, I would love to hear kind of if you're able or want to share any intricacies in how that went down. I think that's like such an interesting thing, like topic.
What I will say is that like traveling is probably the best way to know whether or not you're compatible with someone.
I completely agree.
You know, you see a person at their most stressed, you see them at their most
Exactly.
relaxed. Like,
Exactly.
you know, it's like you get a good feel for a person if you're traveling with them kind of like right off the bat. You know, if there's going to be red flags, you'll
And long-term travel like that is technically, I guess, a vacation, but it's not in a lot of
Work.
ways. Like, yeah, as people
Not
who've
when
also
you're just
done a lot of like
backpacking
more
and
than
just
a
going to
couple,
travel to
yeah,
travel.
that's the difference
It is
between like
work.
traveling and
Absolutely.
vacationing, because when you're vacationing, you're like, we're gonna just go fucking sit
like
on
at
a
a
beach or
like
Yeah.
chilling,
and
like
when you're
hotel suites.
traveling, yeah, it's like you're there. I mean, I know you both speak Spanish, but you know, it's like even if you speak Spanish, you don't necessarily know the culture. Yeah, there's just a lot of like things that can come in between your time together. So
Do you
yeah,
have any like specific memories
Yeah,
of
give us an
trying
anecdote.
times or not? I do not, because I feel like what I remember for the most part was like you were like super easygoing and it was not hard to be with you at all, and like that's why I was like, oh yeah, she's my girl. Like there's nothing that like, you know.
Well, I think that just in general, I'm
Oh,
one of
shit, here it comes.
I'm just one of those people that like I don't set the bar high. Not just because
Oh shit.
I just don't have high expectations, because I think just in general in life you should just be prepared for whatever you get. Like not the worst, but
I
just
think if you don't expect anything from anybody, then you're never let down.
well, like I already liked you. So like that was already established. I was like, okay, I'm going on this trip with like this rad guy. Like we already have this connection. Like let's just see how it goes. Like, are we gonna really be able to deal with each other? Like he says,
Absolutely.
like while we're like tent camping in the back of our car, or like
Yep.
eating avocados and tuna for like 3 days, like whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we got along great. We were great at like like wherever I didn't excel, like he was really good at, and like that's one of our things is we're really well balanced because of just how we are in general. Like he's a Gemini. I dated a Gemini before, and not to like base things on astrology, but like
They're all serial killers. Yeah, we know.
I was like, never doing that again. But then he has his moon in Scorpio, and I'm like, okay, so you are attached to your emotions. So I was like, I'll give you a try. But, but yeah, so there's nothing, I feel like it was really easy. And that was, you want your love to be easy. You don't want to have to be like,
Absolutely.
oh, like trying super hard to like make this work. Like,
Yeah, you
well,
can't force it.
yeah, there are going to be trying times in relationships. Obviously, not everything is like butterflies and rainbows, but it should be something that feels good to you. And like that always felt, it always felt that way with you.
Can I also give you guys like a kind of strange compliment? I just feel like if I don't say it now, I'm gonna lose it, which is that I was noticing even tonight, like in this podcast episode and just how you guys interact. I really fucking appreciate just how genuine you are to each other and like able to just kind of even like, not necessarily bicker, but like give each other the real of it all and not be afraid of it, because that to me shows a really valuable space in a relationship. Like we have episodes where Steven and I go, oh my God, I wonder if people think that like we are arguing there. Cause we know we're not and we're like fucking fine. But if someone outside maybe heard it, we're like, oh, or I know I can act like kind of
therapy.
Yeah, right. Or like I get off in a way, not sexually, but like yeah.
Okay.
I get off on like giving him shit, right? Because he's such a nice and understanding person that a lot of times, especially on the podcast, when we're on this platform, I give him a lot of shit. And then I listen back and I'm like, wow, I am really rude to him. And I'll come back to him like, was that hurtful to you? I'm so sorry if that was like upsetting or made you feel bad. I didn't want to degrade you. I thought I was being funny. But now that I listen, like I kind of sound like a bitch. And he's like, I fucking love you. That's who you are. Like I knew what I was getting into. And just so you know, that's not just on the podcast. Like you tend to do that, but I love it. It's fine. Anyway, you guys have the same kind of thing going on where I'm like, oh, you can be just real as fuck with each other. And there's no fear of like, babe, are you okay? Like, I'm sorry. Or there's no phoniness. It's very much just like, hey, get the fuck out of here. Let me say my piece. Let me take, I just love that and respect that. And I think it's like very, very rare that we see that in other couples. So shouts out realness.
I love you.
Yes.
I appreciate that because there's no other way. I feel like you're going to be with this person if you know that that's the person you want to be with. You want to be yourself. You want to be real as hell. Like you want to be comfortable. Like if you say something that might be bitchy, you want them to not get offended. You want them to be like, oh, that's why I like I love you.
I was thinking about this podcast today actually, and I was thinking about how you guys love to talk. I mean, probably like a part of your relationship.
We've talked about
like,
how we love to talk. That's how much we love to talk.
A part of your relationship definitely centers around conversation that you have with one another that's stimulating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like a big part of hers and mine where it's like, I've been in relationships before where like I feel like I run out of things to talk about. And that's sad. It's like, well, like with the person that you are infatuated with or whatever that you're in a relationship with and you have things that like you can talk about, but they end somewhere.
Right.
They
only go so far.
And like with her and myself, and I think with you two as well, it's like one of those things where it's like stimulating. Like that's like getting off half the time is like just what you want to talk about.
Connecting.
Anything and everything, right? It's like super stimulating, so.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm an advocate for like literally just saying what's on your mind. Like whether the person gets offended or not, that's literally their own problem that they have to deal with. And with reason, like
you
don't want to be you're not going to be like
somebody else's feelings
or like your emotions don't matter.
Right.
But like if that person gets offended with something that like you're just genuinely expressing, that's like you're opening your heart to like tell that person to, like you just need to talk about it more, but also you should always feel safe and comfortable with like who you decide to like spend most of your time with.
Absolutely.
Like, and that's how I felt from day one with him. I was like, you're like my friend, you're my bestie. Like, I can tell you whatever, even if it's like something that might make you feel uncomfortable. Like,
sit with it, man.
Yeah.
Like this
Yep.
is who part of
Yeah.
who I am, and I need to be able to tell you this.
yeah.
We've met some couples that, like, there's one couple in particular, but that just came to mind. But like, I know a few people that have been kind of on the opposite of that too, where I know, for instance, that the female has like been through a lot of trauma. And I'm like, how does your partner help you go through this? How are they supporting you? And they go, well, you know, they don't really like to talk about it because it's just like too weird. So I don't talk about it. And I understand I know, for instance, that it's extremely upsetting for a partner of any gender to hear something traumatic that their partner went through. But the fact of the matter is, like, okay, I understand when it's like, okay, well, you need to see a therapist, not me. There's a boundary there, right? But if your partner isn't willing to like support you and understand what you went through, even in very sickening and traumatic times, such as a sexual assault, like if you can't tell your partner about that, that's not maybe the best situation. Like, it's no one ever wants to think about that, right? No one
Mhm.
ever wants to have their partner going through that. But you got to be able to talk about even the harshest of shit,
For sure.
at
Well-
least on some level, and feel supported by your partner.
Absolutely, I agree, but I do also think there are boundaries to where you need to know the other person's boundaries up front
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
can't really. I agree with you, but just playing devil's advocate here, I think for some people maybe they can't handle it emotionally, and that's not to disregard them,
Right.
but I mean, play to your strengths. You and I obviously have a relationship where whatever's on your mind can come to me at any point in time and we can
Yeah.
deal with it together. That's how we are, and we know that.
Yeah, and some people have been through like sexual traumas where you need to talk to a therapist before you can really even feel comfortable
Right.
talking to your partner about it, you know?
Mhm.
Well,
Like
and
everyone's
that's-
circumstance is so different when
Yes.
it comes to that kind of thing that like totally agree and
Absolutely.
also feel that like people can't open up to like someone that they've opened their heart to so much like vulnerably to then have to like deal with this other really dark thing, and they should be able to funnel it to someone that's like a third party member, you know?
That absolutely makes sense. And I guess in my mind it was more like if you feel that you're going to be judged, like if you're going to be
Sure.
like, you know, I can't talk to my partner about
Right.
anything except light, happy things, like
if,
or else they're
if
gonna
your
judge
partner
me
can't
or-
handle,
True.
turmoil and hardship, like when you're going through it personally, and they struggle with dealing with that, you gotta let them know they need to step up a little bit,
But I agree, there are
because
boundaries.
that's just how it is in life. People are gonna go through, hard shit, and you gotta be able to take care of each other. Like that's just the way it is. But
And sometimes the hard things are literally just being like maybe on a trip with someone that you love and being like I'm having a really difficult time like right now being confined to this car, and I don't want to be a brat. I don't want to be high maintenance, and I know we don't know each other that well, or we do, but like I'm kind of freaking out. Like I gotta fucking get out of this car camping situation and go to a nice hotel for a night, and like things like that where you don't want to like rock the boat because you're trying to just be so chill, but then like even those little things, you got to be able to share that stuff.
Dude, could you imagine being on a bad road trip? Like where you realize really quickly that you're not with the person that you want
You're
to
like
be with.
1,000 miles from any
Oh.
airport.
And you're like in South America with this person that like has these really bad habits that you don't vibe with well at all.
That would
You know,
fucking
that's
blow.
a nightmare. And
I
so like
actually-
I think
yeah.
we were probably really fortunate to have gotten along as well together as we did to be able to accept that thing, but not everyone has like the intuition to be able to like think like, oh yeah, that would be really nice or good or whatever. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, I could see like a road trip from hell happening, you know.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So our good friend Demi actually was a guest on the podcast. She was our first guest on the podcast, and she talked about how her and her partner went on a road trip, and they'd been together already for quite a while, but they actually broke up on the road trip and then got back together. Like they broke up in Canada, got back together in like Oregon or something, and they were like driving across the country with their cat, and shit got wily, and they were like, okay, fuck this relationship. And then also came full circle and were like, wait, I love you. And now they've been together like 7 years, and they're a beautiful couple, and they're very open about like, yeah, we went through some pretty serious shit living in a van together for 3 months. Like maybe wasn't the best decision, but also it was because we learned and grew with each other. But that shit can be very gnarly. Like Steven and I just openly say, I don't want to fucking go on a I don't want to ever live in a van with you. Like, okay, we'll go travel the world, sure. But like living in a car living for the both of us, first of all, imagine this quite ginormous person.
So
No,
y'all aren't
thank
getting
you.
a sailboat anytime soon, or what?
Yeah.
Like
Oh my God.
your
And-
28-foot sailboat that you dreamed about, Steven, it's not happening?
And it's not that we
Okay.
can't stay with each other for that long. It's not that. It's not about the being
It's
together.
just
It's the
space.
confined
Yeah,
space, having no alone time.
You can
I
love
like
each
to wash
other.
my balls in private.
You
I
can-
like to wash
yeah.
his balls in private too.
Even
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be like autonomy within relationships, which could be a whole nother subject, but definitely what makes us like be so happy and in love with each other is that we both are our own individual people that just thrive on being ourselves and like accepting each other for like being who we want to be.
Absolutely.
And there's no expectations to like be a certain way or do this or do that. It's like
right.
like I feel like there's this whole belief of when you're in a relationship, you just like morph into like you both like the same thing and you both are expected to like want to make the same decisions.
I
And
think
it's like,
if
no.
you're not enough of an individual or independent enough, then you fall into that relationship and become codependent, and then you
Yeah.
lose yourself to the relationship. And then after that relationship, you got to come back out and figure out who you are all
You're
over
like,
again.
I love playing
Which isn't a
zombie
bad
video
thing.
games.
It's a learning experience, and I think everybody kind of goes through that to figure out who they are and who they're not. And maybe they find that person and that's who they are and it's their best friend and they bond, or maybe it's just it was right in that time and then they move on and become, who they were meant to be. So it's definitely all a part
Right.
of that growing experience. But
Right. Which is why I'm so grateful we met each other when we were like 22, but then didn't meet again until we were like 27. And those 5 years made a really big difference.
It's so
Yeah.
fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't like the Grateful Dead when I was 22.
And so now you guys both live on Kauai, and you've been there for what, a year and a half now together
Yeah.
ish? A year?
Yeah, like a little over a year together.
April
Collectively.
11th or something was like he was when he moved to Kauai.
Oh,
Mid-pandemic.
Mid-pandemic.
Yes,
she's like
actually saw
April 11th. It was a Tuesday at
Oh,
like
yeah.
11:50 p.m.
He bought his ticket
yes.
at a bar.
I'm telling you,
in-
girls always
I
remember
bought-
that shit.
I
She
bought my
remembered
ticket,
the
though,
day,
like, I
the
bought my
date.
my ticket to move out, like my decision to move out to like live with her, which is like it's like a pretty big decision.
you guys
like,
have to tell this story actually because she mentioned it earlier, and I was like, "Holy
she?
fuck, that is sweet."
So
Oh.
yeah, I want
Que
to know
dulce.
how that discussion came about and how you guys worked up to the point where you just said, I'm going to take the leap. I'm going to move to a completely foreign place. Had you been to the island before?
no,
Or you just had the buddies from the island?
no, I never been there before. I knew I would like it.
So you
obviously.
moved
Wait.
there, never having been there before?
Side note, Jesse had traveled to all 49 states except for Hawaii. That was the last one he was missing.
Oh my
I
god!
love his
right
background.
there.
Right?
Your
I
background
would-
is absurd. Like,
So-
who even are you? Where did you
So,
come from?
Lele, can you actually please tell the story you told me earlier, because it was so sweet. Like, and I just felt like the way you told it was, just as you guys were saying, girls remember everything, and like the way she told me this, I was
Magical,
like,
meant to.
it was very much like, this is why we remember shit, because we want to be able to tell our girlfriends, like, oh my gosh, okay, so here's what happened. And so
here's
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
Give me all the deets, and you guys
Well,
remember
during
it,
the
every last
southern-
detail.
Southern Chile, Argentina, Patagonia road trip, you know, it felt right. We're like, all right, we kept talking about what's our next move. I kind of had my life on Kauai. Jesse was unsure about if he'd go to Alaska or if he'd stay in Mexico. And during one of our nights, we were in this little town called El Chalten, which it was at the trailhead to this epic hike that we wanted to go do called Fitzroy. And we were at this bar. We were waiting till like 2 a.m. to go summit
Do you
the
remember
peak.
the name of the bar?
I don't remember the name. But it was a brewery. And anyways, it was
No,
in
you've
this
just
town.
been so good about that. Sorry. You
I
just
know.
remembered
I know.
the
I'm like, let
trailhead
her tell
names
this
and all that.
story. I was very
I just-
entranced.
I know. I
Okay.
need to give more details.
No,
so,
you don't.
So
I
yeah,
was
no,
just-
he bought
I
bought
know.
his ticket to Kauai for like the following. He was going to go back to Colorado to hang out with his family for a month and then move over to the island.
So Stevie kind of interjected at the worst time. You were sitting there about to do this hike, though, that was
that
yes.
King recommended to us. So okay, so we had no itinerary for this Patagonia hike, and if you know anything about Patagonia, I guess we didn't know. We're just like going with the flow. Apparently, you need to book everything in advance, and you need to know exactly what you're doing because things get booked up. It took us like a long time to even find a car to rent.
Sure.
But we had gone on this kayaking tour in Lago General to these like really epic caves that are like coming out of this lake that look incredible. And we picked up this hitchhiker guy from Australia and he's like, "Oh, where are you guys going next?" And we're like, "We don't know. We're just driving south, like gonna see pretty things. Like we're not sure." And he's like, "Oh, you should definitely go summit this peak called the Fitzroy, but you need to do it like at sunrise. So technically you're supposed to start the hike at like 2 a.m. So we get into this town and it's like 11 or 12 and we're like, all right, well, we have some hours to kill. So that's when we go to the bar and we're like brainstorming like our love and our relationship and what's going to happen next. And that's when he bought his one-way ticket to Kauai.
Right then and there.
And we're like, all right, this is it. Like
Spur of the moment.
I was like, yes, like I got it. Like you're coming with me.
That's so sweet.
And yeah, and then we went and did that hike. And honestly, that was like the most memorable day of my life to this day. Like that hike was incredible. It was freezing, like super freaking cold up there. But we hiked at night up this mountain, and then the way back, we took a little bit of acid on the way back, and
nice.
just
That's
to
amazing.
continue the
No, but like
the good times.
one big thing that like I was always sensitive about with her was like I don't like encroaching on people's space, you know, that they already have established.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like one thing I was like really like scared about was like moving in with her because like I didn't want to like infiltrate her space or like if I was ever too much, like I didn't want her to feel like
Compromise her independence.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
That's
like
important.
and I'm moving to a new place, so it's like the only thing I have once I get there. You know what I mean? Like
That's some awesome foresight,
and
honestly.
so I was always like trying to be really sensitive about this is her space, and like it's funny because like there's I think it's Aretha Franklin. It's my house, and I live here.
yes. Yes.
Is that Aretha Franklin? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know,
That
but I
sounds
know
like
the
it
jam.
could
I
be.
know the
Sounds like
jam
it
you're
could be.
saying though.
Who is it?
Who did you say it was?
Aretha Franklin?
No, it's Diana Ross.
Diana Ross.
There
Yeah.
we go. I have her record over there. Oh wait, no,
There's
that's
a welcome
nope,
mat right on the door. And I was like thinking like about that song, you know, and I was thinking like, oh, this is like her space. And it's like
Wait,
it
can I
is
put
her
that
house
on
and
your
she lives
playlist?
there. Yeah, we made playlists for each other.
I put
of-
that song
and like
on
I
the
put really
playlist.
personal
She's
songs.
like
where-
sending subliminal messages just so you know. This is my house, motherfucker. This is my space.
Well, so like I just did not want to like come in and just for whatever reason like living in close quarters would not work out because the place where we live at is literally like maybe 800 square feet tops or whatever.
We
and-
just, by the way, that's the house that we just stayed at in Kauai the last week. Like, we house traded essentially. While they were here on the mainland, we were there in their house. They graciously let us stay there and drive their car. It was like fucking amazing. We missed them. But then they actually ended up staying at our house while we were at their house. So it was great.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, very very synchronistic in the way that happened. So we go to the island, and they happen to be coming to the mainland. So we get to stay at their place, and then a day before we get back, they get to stay at our place, and then be with us here right now
Cross
to
paths.
yeah catch up
estamos
with you guys
juntos.
in person. Thankfully, because I would have been sad if I missed you guys on the island, but we
Yeah.
still got to catch up and
Right, yeah. I feel like I see
Give you
Steven
guys
all the
this
time through like
podcast.
Holly's content on various channels, and
Yeah.
I was like even like talking. I met Holly's mom for the first time a couple days before we got here, and I was talking to her about Steven as if I knew him, but I did not. I was
It's
like,
awesome.
it was like I was talking about how like Steven's handy or something, and we were talking about Holly's mom's house and how she's, made it her own place and stuff, and her boyfriend has done like a lot in the contracting world, and I was like, oh yeah, and it's great that Steven like has his contracting experience too, to where he can do the same thing
Yep.
with them.
Yep.
So it's funny like when you don't know people personally before you've actually met, but you have like a general sense of who they are through
It's the soul circle.
social media.
Yeah.
circle.
No, when you feel like somebody's a good person, even before you meet them, you're like, I'm down with this person. And then you meet them and you're like, fuck yeah, this is going to be a great
Yeah.
time.
Mhm. I know. I feel like Steven, just to put that in another light, like I feel like Steven and I have always talked about you, Jesse, as if we know you too. And like
shit.
realistically, I only spent that one weekend with you
Right.
ever, like
Yeah.
at Hardly Strictly.
Same.
And it was like, we're all drunk and high and having a great time and listening to music and getting separated. And so we didn't actually really have, like, I would say, any memorable interactions, but I still was like, same kind of thing Lele said, like, I could still get a vibe of your character, which was already like, oh, that cat's cool.
For sure,
But
yeah.
also, maybe I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, if Lele chose you, I know it's great, but I'm like, well, we actually, as she said earlier, have both been in relationships as in our friendship that weren't where we didn't make the greatest choices.
Right.
But you, Jesse, were no doubt. I was like, oh my God. When she called me and told me you guys were a thing, I was like, that works. Like that tracks.
glad it
That
wasn't a,
tracks so
like,
hard.
Who? A who
No,
thing?
I
Like,
immediately was
who's
like,
the
oh
guy?
my God. Like I
Yeah,
kind of
like, I
had a
remembered everyone
feeling.
from that weekend. It's funny because like there was probably a total of like 18 people, I would say, like a
Yeah.
part of that group,
Yeah.
And that's including like her cousin, Lele's cousin, who wasn't really a part of the Kauai group, or me, or there was a guy named Nate who wasn't a part of it, or
And that girl, Sunny.
Casey
that-
Sunshine.
Casey
yeah, she was
Sunshine.
another
I'm like,
person.
Sunny, is that
You
her
know,
name?
Like-
she actually happened to be in like Patagonia
met
when
up
we
with
were
us
down there and
in
we
South
met up with
America.
her.
Yeah,
I know,
wild.
it's honestly trips me out. Like this group of people, like
This whole
we just
world,
happen to
but
cross
it's-
paths
yeah.
is
all the time.
So synchronistic.
Yeah.
It's so small too. Yeah, synchronistic is probably a better thing because I guess what it is. This is an aside, but if you're privileged enough to be able to travel to other countries and stuff, you're already part of a very, very small group of people in the world.
Yeah,
Wow,
absolutely.
that's a really,
Yeah.
And
really real
so-
perspective on it. Yeah.
Being able to meet a person from the United States in another country while you're there at the same time is like a testament to like we are part of, 1% or something crazy in the whole world's population of
Mhm.
an ability to move.
It's just
like we
us
do.
and the Aussies.
And the
Canadians.
Germans.
And the Germans.
Freaking
Oh my
crazy-ass
God. Yes,
Germans.
the Germans and the Aussies. We are
Germans-
everywhere you go to travel.
Yeah.
They're like, just having a holiday.
We're on holiday.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Germans
cool.
on holiday are way different than like Germans like out,
Oh,
like, in work,
they're
at
like
work.
two different people. They show up. It's like they're the mullets of travelers, because they're like business at home,
Right.
party on the
Oh, yeah.
road.
Right.
Yeah, 0 to 100.
And
Exactly.
super well educated and well spoken.
Yeah.
And like everything that I wish I
Speak
fucking-
multiple languages
Yeah.
perfectly. Like, great at multiple weird sexual things.
Also
Yeah.
super
usually.
rowdy.
They roll
Party crazy
spliffs
hard.
so well.
Like blindfolded.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can like, they're all like, oh, we smoke cigarettes all the time.
We've been training all our lives
Eat
for this
lots
shit.
of chocolate danishes and other kinds of pastries. I feel like that's one thing the Germans and Austrians that I've traveled around and like lived around, they're always like, does anyone know where a German bakery is? And I'm like,
That was a really good accent, actually.
I'm like, no, I don't know where that is because we're in fucking Rishikesh. And then sure enough, they're like, found one. And the next day, who's going? I want to go. And then they all fucking every single day get up and go to the fucking bakery.
Yeah.
They're like, coffee, chocolate, right away. Has to be in my system. Then I
My-
will do other
That
things.
My
takes-
roommate in Mexico City was from Germany. One of my roommates it was Mexican, a person from the U.S. and a German. And what I liked about him was he would never let anything go to waste. So like whatever we bought, he would use, like cooking wise.
He was like Dwight Schrute in the
he
office
was,
eating
like,
like a
just
huge can of tomato sauce. Just
Total like
yeah.
I cycle these out every few
Utilitarian.
months.
yeah.
It's
He had his shit
unpleasant,
down
but
though, so great.
That's awesome.
it's important, yeah. Being
Germans
conscious.
are awesome.
People
Shouts
of
out
the
Germans.
earth.
Shouts out Russians. Shouts out Australians. Shouts out Canadians. Shouts out my fellow.
Okay, but this is also a thing I'm going to throw out there. How the fuck do Aussies have so much money to travel? Like, I know that they have like a pretty high, I think that they're, so when I became close with my friend Vanessa, shouts out Vanessa. If you're still on the drinking game, keep going.
Yeah, right. If they're still on the
Called the drinking
Yeah.
episode.
No, like when, we're going to probably split this into two.
This is gonna
And how
be-
long
yeah.
are we? Have
This is gonna be two
It's
episodes.
been 141. Yeah.
how much do we have left?
About, let's do
As
20
much time
minutes.
as we
Yeah.
want.
Can it be like a 3 episode?
Oh
No,
my God. Yeah.
I feel like now that
Who's
I've like
making the beer
we're
run?
down like
Now that she's liquored up,
The
she's
tequila
bottle's
ready
almost
to go.
At first, I'm like sweating
Because
and,
you
like,
guys can't
freaking
see this on
nervous.
video, we have been somewhat lubricating ourselves
I'm
with
sure
a
they've
little
heard
bit
the
of
clinking
tequila,
of the shot
couple
glasses and
beers.
yeah.
It's
So-
chill, but
Okay,
yeah,
so my
nerves are
friend
calmed.
Vanessa, who's an Aussie, like I know she told me that about 5 years ago that her the minimum wage in Australia is like was $22 at that point. Minimum wage. But that's also like, well, what's the cost of living?
Right.
Like it's all relative, you know. But I guess I just everywhere I've gone in the world, and you guys have been more places than me, like there's fucking Aussies everywhere. And that's not a negative comment. I'm just like, what are you guys just like all super loaded? Like, what's going on here that you can just all travel like this? And it's like, they're like, yeah, I've been traveling for like 6 months, just like gonna hop on the next train, you know,
Good
keep
on you,
going.
mate.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Pero.
Yeah. Hey, cunt.
Pero short for paralyzed.
Yeah. Also, the main thing that I fucking like at first couldn't stand, and now I'm like, all right, is when they go, "Hey, cunt.
I can't.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
cunt."
I
So
How you doing,
I
cunt?
think
I'm
in
like,
their
"Don't."
culture, traveling is just a priority, whereas like different cultures
They grew
around
up
the
on
world
an
do
island.
different things, so they make
Same
sure
shit
that
as
like
getting
it's
off Kauai.
yeah, very much so, just integrated into their kind of regular day-to-day
but
life is
but they're not traveling like for 2 weeks. It's like I've been out
like
here
months.
for fucking 8 months, and I've gone to 12 different countries, and they're always balling it up. Like they're not just like I'm living off
Roughing it.
meek means.
Right.
They're like, let's go fucking rage.
Snort cocaine.
Yeah, every night.
I think
drugs,
Oh
partying,
my god.
hookers. No, just kidding. I don't know their intricacies, but
all right. Well, I'm gonna need some
Aussies.
Aussies to like ring us up and just let us know how you're making
think-
it work
I think
so well.
maybe they just
If you're
Have-
Aussie,
they-
leave a 5-star review on
You
this
know what's
video
funny
because
is they're gonna
we
be like, you
love
guys are fucking idiots. We don't spend our money on stupid
maybe
shit,
it's that
and
they're
we
like,
prioritize
yeah.
traveling, and then you know are just
Yeah.
smart with how we do things. I don't know.
They have to go on holiday. I
They
feel like
have-
that's like a thing. Like,
They have
like why don't Americans
universal
have a
healthcare,
holiday?
so they're not spending all their fucking paycheck
But I don't
on
see
like.
them drinking any less in
healthcare.
Australia than when they do drink when they're abroad. Like I feel like they still drink the same amount like at home, and then they go on vacation. They're like, oh, we're gonna drink the same amount, but even more.
Yeah.
you know.
No, you're right. I don't think it's like they're sitting at
They
home
love to
fucking
party.
like
Maybe.
hibernating. They're
Maybe.
definitely partiers.
Maybe they have all kinds of secrets that they're just not telling.
Why
you.
don't we
Could
just
be.
go to Australia?
Maybe
and find
that's
out?
why
That's
all
what
of
I
their
really wanted
all
to
of their
get my
hair
visa
is so big.
before I-
It's because it's full of
Before
secrets.
we're none of us are 30 yet, right?
No.
So we can get a
All
visa.
under 30.
We can
We're yes.
we can get a visa to go
You're 26.
Yeah.
work and travel.
Yeah.
Steven's 26. Did you guys all know that?
we have
This is a
mentioned
secret
it.
that
yes.
everyone's
I
been
know that.
keeping from me.
He's a baby boy. I met him when he was
Steven's younger than
21.
me.
Shout out Steven
Shouts out
for
Steven.
being 26.
Yes. So
Shouts out Steven.
Yeah,
Steven's
you're
26 years of
I mean,
life.
we're all in our prime, but like when I turned 27, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Now we're all
that
gonna start
shit
talking to
hit
Steven
me.
like we're like so much older. Than him.
Yeah. Oh
Hey,
my
Steven,
God,
just
honey.
wait, bro,
No,
until you're 2
you
years
know,
older. You'll
right?
see.
That's the funny thing
No.
about
That
your
shit's
20s, though.
hilarious.
It's real. Like every single year of your 20s, you grow light years in your like wisdom and your life fuck ups and the things you had to learn from. And you're like, oh shit, yeah, wow. When I was 25 and you're 26, like it really is kind of crazy. And there were the first couple years that I was with Steven where I was like, hey, so I just like,
Is he the first like younger guy you dated? No,
I
I know the
mean,
answer to that question.
Galen was like a year and a half younger than me. Steven's 2.5 years younger than me. Other than that, I only dated guys that were my age. I even dated guys that were literally over twice my age. But never anyone younger. However, he's like the most well put together
I thought
person.
Steven was like 6 years older than me,
Dude,
at least.
everyone is
Age?
like, when I'm your age, I want to, and he's like, I'm way younger than you.
You just know,
That's just-
you know
yeah.
your shit. Like
He's
you
a
know,
very evolved soul, that
Yeah.
guy. This guy.
You've been here lots of
Yeah.
times.
How
Man.
long you been here, bro?
Hey, how many lifetimes though? So here's the thing, guys. Next year, Lele is gonna be 30, and
Yep.
then on March 18th, and then I'm gonna be 30 April 5th.
Yep.
And you boys are kind of just along for the ride anyway, and you're both younger than us. So we probably all need to go to Australia.
Six Flags.
Oh, is there a Six Flags Australia?
Six Flags?
Love. I don't like.
Are we going to Six Flags?
No.
Are y'all taking us to Six Flags?
We're
Let's
gonna
go to another island.
Yeah.
Called Japan.
Ooh.
No, I really want to go to Japan though.
Okay.
We should think about that.
We're
I'm open to
we're
it.
very
I'm also open to
it.
Six Flags.
Let's go to Disney Tokyo.
Oh wow. I don't know.
No,
that I
I'd
can
I'd
handle
definitely
that.
be open to making a big trip out of that. That would be cool.
Absolutely. So
I'm terrible
start
with
saving
birthday
our money
presents,
now.
so this would be great for me because I could make this happen and then not get a big L on the forehead for giving her a shittiest birthday present, especially when it's
Can
for
you
her
tell me what
30th.
the worst birthday present you've ever gotten her
I
is?
can. We've actually discussed this on a podcast episode. I got her. It was a shitty, and let me quote this:
I was gonna say
Quote. "Shitty Safeway plant." End quote.
for $3.99.
What kind of plant though?
A fucking succulent in a Buddha head, which was actually pretty, but it died pretty quickly.
Was this on the last podcast? Because
It
sounds
was
so
a couple
familiar.
ago. Yeah.
Several
I probably
episodes
listened to
ago,
it.
maybe more recently, but
We're
obviously it
over
was a
now.
shitty present
We've
because
moved past
there was an episode where we discussed it. So
Yeah.
I'm very conscious now about steering clear of shitty birthday presents because
And
apparently they're a big
Is it
deal.
like a little traumatizing?
No. Also, there was it's funny now.
It was
it's-
hilarious more than anything.
When we
because-
brought it up on the podcast last time, I was like, hey, was that inappropriate? Like, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
You're an amazing human. You get me. You like do so many things for me. And he was like, no, it's fucking funny. It's fine. Like, we've talked about it. We've worked through it. It was very bratty of me to even care in the first place. But also, I was like, you could have put a little more effort in. So,
Yeah.
like, I half and half regret my my brattiness about it. However,
There's
then,
two sides to that
for our
story.
5th anniversary this week, he just fucking took us to Kauai and he bought literally everything. Like where
Birthday
I kept
presents
trying
are
to.
so hard.
I know, but
There is a lot of
Like
pressure.
oftentimes
I
birthday
have to
presents
say.
are so, maybe it depends
But
on like the
also,
relationship
it's about
you're in.
dun communication, not about
Yes.
presents.
Yeah.
it
Just
was
in
that
general,
Absolutely.
was the
like,
lesson. That was
just
the
in
lesson.
general, like
It's not about presents. It's about presents.
yes,
it's about
Mhm.
presence. PRESSENCE.
SECENCE.
Spell us
Say,
MISSIPPI.
no, but yeah, presence. Like,
Yes.
yeah, just
And I mean, I'm fucking so spoiled. Like, that's the thing. Not that I need to necessarily share this with the world, but I truly was like, I felt big ballin'. Like, I was like, wow, my babe just like fucking took me to Hawaii for a week for our anniversary. Like,
Mahalo.
yeah, mahalo so much. I seriously though was like, I don't even know. Oh, that hair's attached to your face. Sorry. We'll get that later. Yeah. Sorry guys, on the podcast, I just tried to pull a hair off Steven's face that I thought was like an eyelash sitting there, but it was actually
This
like
is why
a
video would be helpful.
random
You
cheek
guys
hair.
can see the
Okay.
level of
Go support
torture
us on
that I
Patreon if
endure.
you get the chance. Our Patreon is
we don't have.
Mhm.
no Patreon. Just kidding.
Yeah.
If you would like to start a Patreon for us, let us know.
Yes. If you would also like to handle the
Gold
Patreon for
membership.
free.
We're gonna invest in really good video where you
Mhm.
can see Holly pulling the hair off of Steven's face.
And then realizing it's
in
attached.
4K.
Slow-mo.
That could be hot. Yeah, slow-mo. There we go. We're appealing to everybody.
Everyone.
You're welcome, all.
I'm really curious to see like how this episode is gonna like unfold and
How
how
did
we're
it
gonna
started?
enjoy
It's
the
been beautiful.
it's been quite beautiful.
Yeah, no.
I'm just
I've thoroughly enjoyed it throughout.
it's always funny to like listen back when it's that whole thing. When you're drinking, you think that you're so fucking slick. You're like, oh, everybody's like, we're having such a great conversation. It's all going so great. And like, we're so cool and beautiful. And then sometimes, now that we have like audible or audio proof of those conversations, we actually get to listen back and go, huh, yeah, cringe. But I gotta say, actually, you guys, a lot of our episodes, our guests and us have been drinking, and you'd never know.
How would
Maybe
they
you
know?
know. I mean, have you known?
No. I mean, I assumed with. Never mind. Is that mean to say?
no.
I was gonna say Tom.
Oh.
Oh,
Fuck.
I was actually
No,
sober
yeah.
for that episode. They were definitely like taking
If I
drinks
know
and
Tom
getting
Shannon,
yeah,
he likes to
getting
party.
torn up.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the first time
Great
I met
reference.
him, he like took me to a freaking
George
Clinton
Parliament Funkadelic concert.
and he of course he knew someone that could get me on stage, and I'm like,
He
I'm not-
toured
I'm
with
not
them,
going
yeah.
on stage. And he's like, no, you're going on stage. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yeah, you are. And then sure enough, this girl comes and she's like, oh, come on, let me take you. And then like I go on stage and I'm just like dancing in between like the
With the-
backup singers. Like, and I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know what
It's
I'm
so
doing.
fucking
Is
cool.
this how you dance?
You guys, if you listen to the Tom Shannon episode, like this should stoke you up because yet again,
Further
someone is
reference.
telling you
Yeah.
like, no, even in the last couple years, I have fully experienced the Tom Shannon vibe. And like Tom Shannon, P.S. absolutely adores
Love you.
Lele.
Like
Like
she's like, can I say his name?
I know. I was like, wait, is this appropriate?
Cross-reference him.
he wants you to shout his name from the rooftops.
Shouts out Tom
Let's be real. Yeah.
That was good.
Well, okay. It has been real. It has been amazing. You guys are just like obviously fucking epic. I'm sure there has been some overlap in us interrupting each other throughout this whole episode, but that's okay because that's the way she rolls. And I just want to thank you guys so much for sharing your love and
And you're home with us, obviously.
oh my God, you're
Aw.
home. Like we just enjoyed the space that you guys have cultivated on Kauai so much. Like we walked in and went, oh my gosh, like took a deep breath and
Mhm.
we're like, this feels so right.
We instantly knew that we
slept
were
so
home.
hard.
And yeah, we're
Yeah.
super glad that we were able to make this podcast happen with you guys because, like we said earlier, we go to Kauai, but you guys happen to be off the island, you know, as chance would have it. But as we come back, you guys are just happening to be making your way
We're
through
here, guys.
Arizona. So yeah, you get to come stay at
Guys,
our
we're
place
home.
and
Oh,
Live
you're
a
home
movie.
too.
enjoy
yeah,
our
you're
company
home too.
and our home. So yeah, it's been a blessing and so much fun, and I'm
We
just
love
glad you
you.
guys are
We
here.
love you
Yeah,
so
Love
it's
you.
been
Thank you
so
so
much
for
fun.
having us on Indecent Disclosure. It's our favorite podcast, and we listen to it
Aw.
so
Like,
frequently.
subscribe.
We were
5
we
stars.
were driving through
They
far
know
West
the
Texas
deal.
after we went to Big Bend National Park, and it was me, Layla, and Dylan, and we just put it on and we just cruised to it, and it was so fun.
It's
Just
just
so
like
nice to
genuine,
listen to.
real, raw. Like it's like, oh, it feels like someone. It
You're
feels like
sitting in the
me.
room
It
with
feels
Ah.
like you
Exactly.
can just You could just. Oh, I would say that shit. Oh, she says that in public. Same. Going back to going
That's
back
a
to
big
like the
one.
beginning of how I met Holly. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
she feels
Titties
comfortable.
out.
Titties out. Like I want to be titties out. Like
Yep.
that's like the new motto. Not
Titties out for
necessarily
everyone.
titties out, but just being who you
Yeah.
freaking want to
Let
be.
your guard down. Be
Genuinely.
yourself.
Yes,
Mhm.
accepting. Of course, yeah. I love that.
Well, where can folks find you? We have done an ad for both of you before, which
Yeah.
we're super proud of. So, like, people hopefully
we did
go back.
shout outs.
Yes. Shouts out. In
Shouts
fact.
out. That's what
Shouts
it was.
out.
I was
But-
wondering why like
Yeah.
analytics on my website one day went like way up.
Hell
it was
yeah,
like-
bro.
it was like 600,000 views on my website. I was like, where did these people come from? You know?
Yeah.
I wish.
But yeah, give us your little lowdown or down low.
Yeah, so
Lowdown?
you-
Is that
both.
what it's
You
called?
Low
both-
down, down
You
low?
both do photography now, and together you'll do shoots.
Give us your
but where can we find you?
Give us your elevator
Who
pitch
even
real
are
quick
you?
as we.
Another bonding force was the fact that Jesse's an incredible film photographer / Super 8 videographer. So we both create these unique experiences for people. And we do photography, videography together, wherever it may be. Right now, we are on Kauai, looking forward to where the future takes us. We might be living in Mexico. We might be living in Flagstaff. Who knows? But right now, we're on Kauai and, yep, creating authentic experiences for people who would like to bond their love together. And yeah, that's us. You can find me on Instagram. We're both on Instagram. My Instagram's Alexandra Masihy, and Jesse is
JESSEWYATTMORGAN. Jesse Wyatt Morgan.
So, Lele, also, do you want people to find your photos on Instagram, which is Alexandra Masihi Photos?
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you go to my personal page, you'll see on my bio, my photography page is attached to that. And then to my photography page, you can find Jesse's page.
Yeah, and her photos are so just like the essence of them is really natural. They're not really like she doesn't over edit anything, and it's like all in the moment, and she's really good about posing people naturally. And if you ever find yourself in Kauai and you want to document your time there, please hit her up because she'll encapsulate your time better than you could imagine. And it's just like super special. Super, super special. Like even more special than the time you spent there. You'll look back at your photos and be like, whoa, these photos are so good. And she is so good. No, I'm not over
I love
exaggerating.
it.
Like
You're right.
she is so good at what she does. So go elope in Kauai right now.
You guys should
Hey.
elope on
Hey,
Kauai.
Elope on
call
Kauai.
Lele.
Yeah. No, you guys are both amazing. Thank you. We love you so much. Do you have another thing to add, Layla? Layla Balayla?
Layla.
Yeah.
That Eric Clapton song. No, I think that's it. I'm just really
Listen to
happy.
Indecent Disclosure podcast.
I'm
Oh,
really
yeah.
If you got
happy.
to the end of this, please
Shouts
listen.
out Indecent Disclosure
Listen
podcast.
to
Bam.
Indecent Disclosure podcast if you haven't.
Also,
If you
do
haven't- yeah.
what makes you feel uncomfortable, and that will make you grow. Because I'm like, I have to talk into a mic and tell my feelings,
Exactly.
and have
My
people
voice was shaking at the
listen,
beginning of the episode.
and I was sweating,
I was
as
so
you can
scared.
tell, or as you
Put
could have
yourself
heard.
out there.
Put yourself out
I'm
there.
so
Yeah.
proud of you
Be
guys.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's what helps you grow, and you
Yes.
can only get positive experiences from that.
Yeah.
And do it.
Invite your lover to go to Patagonia with you.
Yes.
Take risks.
Words
Yeah.
well
Be
spoken.
bold.
Take
We
acid.
appreciate you
I mean,
guys.
don't. I'm not telling you to take acid.
We
If you
appreciate
want
you
to.
guys so
If you want
much.
to.
Yeah.
And all of you listening, thank you once again for tuning in. And we hope that we brought you the best of the indecency that we had to offer. I'm sure I did. I think, babe,
You always go like Telecaster in the intro and the
Very
outro.
well.
Welcome back to another episode. Yeah, well, it was prompted, all right? I was reading off the prompter. What do you want me to
Holly
do?
wrote a great script for this
Yeah,
episode.
no, we scripted
Yeah.
it. This whole
The
fucking
whole
Every
thing.
word I
I'm,
read
I
was
get-
like
I'm being
right
forced
on.
into this. Help me.
The over talking and everything. I was like, okay, you insert here, you insert there. I'll come in at this point. Yeah, we did a great job. No, but
She's the
seriously,
mastermind behind
You
all
guys-
of
Hollywood
you
can't
guys.
do this shit.
Yeah, they can't keep up.
we fucking appreciate you guys. We love you. And once again, please make sure to click our 5-star review. Leave us a review. If you can't find us on Apple Podcasts, you can always find us on Spotify or Stitcher, as well as any other listening platform. But sharing with your friends, leaving a review, whatever the fuck you can do to like get us out there is absolutely amazing and so appreciated. And once again, mahalo and aloha, bitches.
Mahalo for your.
We'll see you
Goku,
soon.